What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Smoking Tire Podcast. This week's episode is brought to you by Valvoline, America's very first motor oil brand. And for 150 years, they've been innovating, creating, and reinventing motor oil. From the very first high mileage to the first synthetic blend to the first racing oil, they have never stopped pursuing innovation to maximize engine life. And their latest innovation, Extended Protection Full Synthetic Motor Oil, provides 50% better wear protection than industry standards and is 10 times stronger against oil breakdown. Valvoline Extended Protection is specifically formulated with dual defense additive technology, combining an innovative additive boosted with a fortified detergent system. Why do you need it? You might not think that you're a severe driver, but short trips, towing, extreme temperatures, turbocharged engines, heavy loads, and spirited drives put extra pressure on your engine. And people like Chris Forsberg, Rob Dahm, Freddie Hernandez, Speed Academy, Gears and Gasoline, Dustin Williams, TJ Hunt, and more all trust Valvoline in their cars. They are the only motor oil with a dedicated engine lab where they can run specialized engine tests and standardized engine tests right in their own facility. And Valvoline is the world's #1 supplier of EV battery fluids, offering tailored products to help extend vehicle range and efficiency. Find Valvoline now at your local auto parts store. Ask for it by name. We're also brought to you today by Mint Mobile. How could saving money and spending less money not be one of your top goals for 2022? Why still pay insane amounts of money every month for wireless? Switching to Mint Mobile is the easiest way to save this year. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you maximize your savings with plans starting at just $15 a month. I assure you, my old school grandfathered in plan is more than $15 a month. If I switched right now, I'd probably be saving a lot of money, and I'd have more money to blow on my cars. Dumb things on my cars by not blowing it, by giving it away to legacy cellular companies, right? So people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional costs of retail, Mint Mobile passes significant savings on to you. All their plans come with unlimited talk and text, plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. Keep your same phone number, keep all your existing contacts, keep all that stuff. All that switches is the amount that appears on your monthly statement. It's going to be way less. With Mint Mobile, you can choose the amount of monthly data that's right for you and stop paying for data that you never use. So switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/tire. That's mintmobile.com/tire. Cut your wireless bill to just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/tire. And of course, we are still brought to you by the Blackvue DR750X 3-channel plus dash cam. It's a mouthful, but I'm going to explain to you what it all means, right? Having one camera protecting your car is good. Having 2 cameras protecting your car is great. What about having 3 of them? Even better, right? Blackvue's first triple channel dash cam is here, and it lets you keep an eye on the front, the rear, and the interior of your vehicle at all times for complete peace of mind. Right? The Blackvue DR750X 3-channel plus simultaneously records the front, rear, and interior of your vehicle. Each of these cameras is equipped with a Sony CMOS Starvis sensor in the front and rear, and the interior camera connects to the main and front camera via a micro USB. The triple channel model includes a GPS logger, Built-in Wi-Fi, cloud connectivity, and built-in voltage monitoring for parking mode, so you can use it as a security camera when you're parked without having to worry about draining your battery and not being able to start the thing, right? The dash cam comes with a free Blackvue app, which allows you to connect to your dash cam directly over the cloud, get impact notifications, download videos to your mobile device, watch live view, and more. Right? Moreover, Blackvue's seamless pairing feature makes connecting to your dash cam incredibly easy. When hardwired, the Blackvue DR750X 3-channel automatically switches to parking mode to monitor your parked vehicle. Thanks to the video buffer, the few seconds leading to triggering events are also recorded. They sent me one, and I love this Blackvue cam. It gives me the peace of mind that I can always check up on my vehicle no matter where I am. If you heard recently about Zach's girlfriend's stuff being stolen out of her locked, parked Honda Fit, if she had a Blackvue camera running, the police might be able to identify the assailants. More importantly, we would have an amazing video to share with you guys of people stealthily breaking into her car and stealing her stuff, and we could make that money back on the video. So go to Blackvue, BLACKVUE.com/TST and use the promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackvue dash cam. Free shipping for orders over $200. So that's BLACKVUE, Blackvue.com/TST, and use promo code TIRE to get 10% off any Blackvue dash cam. Free shipping on orders over $200. All right, on this episode of the show, we have got Jason Cammisa. In fact, it's not that I went to see him. I was up north scouting for the Road and Track Route to Vine Experience Rally. You can sign up for that at roadandtrack.com/experiences. And I stopped by Casa de Camisa. We talk about some of our more aggressive recent car reviews. We talk about a whole lot of things, actually. This is a very interesting show. We do it from Jason's backyard, and it's always great hanging out with Jason. I love his vibe. I love his nerdiness. I love his strong opinions that are backed by his real studied experience. So, Jason Cammisa is on the Smoking Tire Podcast. We're here. Jason Cammisa. Thank you for the coffee.
The audience needs to know one thing.
That this coffee is not bad? It's
Really?
good coffee.
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Okay.
I asked for coffee and you made the coffee.
Here's the thing. I made you the coffee before I was actually awake because you're a morning person because you drove all the way here while I was
I've been
still
up
sleeping.
since 6.
What is wrong with you?
I have things to do. I had to go from Napa to here,
Right.
do this show with you, and then I have to drive the slow and pretty way to Santa Cruz and film that Audi S3 on the way. So I actually have a pretty full work day.
Do it at night like a normal person. What's wrong with you? 6 o'clock
Just
in the
do
morning.
one-take videos at night like that. Someone requested I do that once. I was like,
They didn't want to see you.
seem-
That's why they're like, oh, he's ugly. We don't want to see you.
Bro.
I'm kidding.
You know what you just brought up there?
I'm sorry.
Uncomfortable truth, which is not that people
Do you
think
have a
I'm
face for
ugly.
radio?
Maybe they do or maybe they don't. That's fine. But if I could remove my own face from every bit of content I make and still have it work, I would.
You do. It's called a podcast, and you.
It's a good point. And here we are on video.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Well, we've got a hefty, YouTube audience.
Yeah, just have them watch a blank screen. They better not be looking at us anyway, because if they are,
Just put the logo.
If you're looking at this, let me tell you, you need to get a hobby.
Just some schlubs. Yeah. No, it's people they download it for the road,
Right.
but if they're doing work on their desktop computer, their laptop, they just open another browser tab and throw it up in the background.
and then you can do inserts, and you can.
Plus,
show
we have
video.
visual assets.
Exactly.
I had to start the show in one little bit of awkwardness. It has nothing to do with you.
Don't touch me.
On a recent podcast, a couple weeks ago, the one with Doug DeMuro, which, by the way, has a staggering number of fucking downloads. It's absurd. I attempted to make fun of Clint Eastwood by quoting Clint Eastwood in a Clint Eastwood voice. And I was rightly called out by some people who pointed out accurately, and I knew it at the time, I should have stopped I should have said something at the time. I didn't. I just kind of buried it and moved on. But they pointed out that it's not great form to make fun of people being racist by quoting the racist things that they say. I'm only laughing at my own stupidity here. And so a couple people had feelings about it. A couple of people let me know their feelings about it. I'm not a perfect person. I'm trying to be as socially conscious as I can, and I will not do it again. And I've learned that making fun of a racist by quoting the racist is not good form. So that's what I have to say about that.
I think great. I'm now thinking,
Right.
How many times have I done that?
Well, I mean, we might have all done it in the past, but what's not important is that we dwell on it every time. What's important is that we just acknowledge it. It was a bad decision, and we apologize and we say we won't do it again. That's where I start this show. Sorry.
I think you're good for it. And the thing is, I say to my friends, they're like, "Oh, it's great you're doing a podcast appearance." Imagine you have a conversation with a friend, and it's recorded, and then a lot of people can watch it. There are a lot of things that sort of come out of our mouths when we're comfortable with the people that we're friendly with, that just don't make sense or seem a very different way than when they're recorded and played back to a different audience.
And look, for the number of people that downloaded or watched the episode, the numbers of letters I got was very, very small. Fractions of a, but still, you know,
it hurts. It hurts when you hurt other people's feelings.
I went for a joke. I knew, as soon as I said it, I knew it was not great. I should have stopped right then, but I didn't, and now I'm being called out on it, and I won't do that anymore.
I'm gonna say I didn't watch that episode, and now I'm going to.
It's okay.
So what you just did was you made yourself another goddamn view on that episode. I knew I couldn't trust you, Matt Farah.
It was a great. I mean, I love talking to Doug. I think Doug has a great perspective. I think and I don't like. Doug and I joke. We don't watch each other's shit.
Right.
But it's fine. We can sit down and we can hang out and talk cars and whatever for hours and hours. And it was 3 hours. It was great. It was really, really fun show. But that moment, especially once it was pointed back out to me, this morning, let's just say that this morning on the drive, I was thinking about the 5 words that I said in Clint Eastwood's voice that I really shouldn't have. Clint Eastwood's a bag of shit. I shouldn't.
Now you're going to regret saying that. See?
No, I don't regret saying
that. How many words is that?
But also I had to send some love to Mike Musto, who I stayed with 2 nights ago up north. His cat Garrison, who's had for a very long time, he passed away this morning. I got to spend. He was looking really rough. He was very, very ill, and I got to spend a little bit of time on Garrison's last day with him. So if you're out there, send some love to Mike Musto about Garrison. I'll be making a donation to Peter Zippy Fund in Garrison's name to save some other cats. But it when I saw him, I was like, oh man, this cat, it does not have a lot of time left. And
he was a really cool cat.
You met Garrison?
Oh, yeah.
Garrison was an awesome cat. It was an awesome cat. And even on his very last day, he came over and snuggled. He was purring. He wanted, but he wasn't eating anymore. And my advice to him, because I knew he didn't have a lot of time left, I was like, Mike, go to the Japanese market and get sushi tuna and mash it up into a paste, because when my cat Axel was about to that was the last thing he would eat before he passed away. And Mike was like, yeah, the sushi, he didn't eat the sushi, and I was like, oh, that is, and he died 12 hours later. So very sad. Send some love to Musto for Garrison. Anyway, here we are now.
Good morning.
Now that we've moved on.
You're
from
done.
Cars.
You've apologized for being
show.
an asshole or a bag of shit. I'm going to call you the bag of shit. And we've had a funeral and a eulogy
for a cat. But it's nice to be here with you. The last show we did was remote, which
100 years ago.
Yeah, and remote shows fucking suck, even when they're your friends.
But I got to say, this is awkward. I had a COVID scare, so we both tested this morning.
Yeah.
And this is the closest I've been to people.
Well, I've been road tripping. I've been road tripping by myself. You know what I mean? And it's been raining up here in San Francisco. So normally I would be only dining outdoors and so I've had no choice the last couple of days but to dine indoors, and I've been put me in the fucking one corner
Right.
away from everybody.
With 6 fans in a...
And I've gone through 3 COVID tests just to make sure. But
Here's the deal. Right now, I have now earned an honorary degree in epidemiology that I've given myself. But I've spent more time learning about epidemiology over the last 2 years than I did on all of my undergraduate classes combined, without question. We're at a point where the incidence level is so high here in the Bay Area, anyway, that it's not a matter of if, and it's no longer a matter of when. It's a matter of how often.
Yeah.
Before this really the big part of the spike happened here a couple days ago, the 1 in 20 people in the city of San Francisco had an active transmissible infection.
Yeah, that's a real problem.
So you walk into a supermarket with 30 people in there, you're statistically basically guaranteed you're going to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
Okay. It's over. We're all going to get it. Thank God we're vaccinated. I hope you guys are too.
Yeah.
And we've done what we can, and now we got to get back to life. I'm going to get hate for saying that, but
well,
that's my philosophy.
you don't want society to come to a grinding halt, but
I did then.
I still don't want to get it.
I don't want to get it either.
I still don't want to get it. And I'm I go out of my way to make others comfortable. That's like what a host, I think, does. I do it.
I want another coffee.
I try to do. I would if I didn't have to do this. I would get up and make you coffee. But it's what I do when I have guests in my home. It's what I do when I am trying to have people on my show, whatever. And so I don't want to make the call. I'm not worried about getting. I wouldn't get very sick. I got triple shots, so I'm not worried about that. But I don't want to make those calls like someone made to you.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you need to panic now.
Yeah, I got the phone call a couple days ago,
Yeah.
and the thing is, again, the incidence level is so high that now we don't know whether this person gave it to me or I gave it to them.
Right.
So then I'm like calling all my other friends. I'm like, hey, you guys, everyone's all right, but we just don't know. And frankly, at this point, the train's left the station.
Yeah,
right.
I'm just
one
glad
out of
it's
every
not
10 or
raining
15
so we
people
could be
have it.
outside.
Oh yeah,
dude, I've got every day it's calls. Somebody. I'm right now renovating a house and building a new building for West Side. Both contractors have it.
Oh God.
They don't.
You're the vector.
They don't know each other, and
but they both know you.
I haven't seen them in person, but I've texted them both. Like, hey, what's going on? They're like, nothing right now.
Everyone has it right now.
I know.
It's now we're now. Again, are not numbers, blah, blah, blah. Measles, 15, the most transmissible virus we know about. This is the same.
Yeah.
There's no stopping this.
Yeah,
one.
we're fucked.
That's fine. No, we're fine. It's going to be good. You're triple vaxxed.
I'll be okay, but we as a society are pretty fucked. Cars.
That's been the case for a long time.
We've been
anyway.
fucked. Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of the Dollop. We've been fucked. So I want to just dive right in because you wrote your Instagram reviews are great. You managed to get a lot of content into an Instagram post. I mean, because you're thorough. You write, you take a lot of notes. You have you really spend a lot of time on cars. We know this. And
You just call me a nerd. I'm fine with that.
You are a nerd.
I know. I'm the nerd.
Being nerdy
I am the nerd.
But being nerdy is like cool now.
I hope so.
If you call
Kinda
someone
like
a
being
nerd,
dad.
if you call
Like
someone
daddy.
if you call someone a nerd in 2022 versus calling someone a jock, like which one is cool and which one is not?
Well, here's the
cool?
problem. I think I can speak for myself. I can't speak for you, but I was always the nerd. So I've had 40 years, some plus, of being made fun of for being a nerd. And at some point, you just own it. And you're like, yes.
Right. I was always the one who people would tell me how good I would be at sports. Oh, you're tall, so you must be good at basketball. Oh, you're big, so you must be good at football. When in fact, I hated football and was horrible at basketball. So, yeah. So I hovered around in between just being fat and kind of worthless.
I was just worthless and fat and short and little.
Yeah, but now you have a Ferrari.
And I had a twin sister who was like basically the hottest chick in school, plus the school bully, plus really good at sports.
Someone who shares your genes was the hottest person in school?
And the coolest. She was like...
Can I look up a picture of her?
Oh my God, no.
What do you want to say her name?
I don't want to say her name publicly because I don't want to do this.
Okay, I almost want you to just type it in my keyboard so I can see.
I will show...
I have to see what female you looks like.
Female, here's the thing, we are twins.
No, obviously. And you're obviously not identical twins. Unless you are.
Yes, because I have the bigger tits. No, I mean, genetically, twins are no closer than regular siblings.
Yeah, but still, if you have a twin, they look kind of like you.
No.
No?
That was the thing, is most people didn't realize, we would say like, oh, we're twins, and people are like, no. They just kind of didn't believe that we were even related. And we're like, no, we're actually twins. I mean, that's just the first picture I pulled up.
You're right. She doesn't really look like you.
She has green eyes, We have the same color hair.
I can't see the color, but
No,
like
I'll find
your
a picture.
your facial structures don't really look alike at all. Okay, fine. You win. She doesn't look that much like you, and she is very attractive.
I mean, we're also fucking old now.
If you have you ever done a Photoshop of her with your beard? Because that might really change the game. Well, she is very attractive.
You know
a
what's-
very attractive sister.
I know she's hot. It's just
she's
annoying.
good.
It's just annoying. Oh, your sister's so hot. Yeah, I know.
Listen,
Like, all my friends
My
growing
dad was
up.
all-state athlete. My dad played basketball in the Final Four. Like I got none of that.
What the fuck happened to us?
I don't know.
All we knew we played with cars.
Yeah. But my dad never had a Ferrari, and I do, and so do you.
That's true. Neither do I. We win. Yes. Mine is leaking brake fluid all over the.
Mine
garage
has no
right now.
brakes at all. Mine's just
Hey,
waiting for.
What is it? Is it like January 2022, the official Ferrari brake department?
Yeah. I think it's like it's just that that annual something goes terribly wrong with your old.
Mine's been good. Knock on.
But I saw your Instagram post. It seemed like you only drove it about 800 miles.
Less. It was
700 and something miles, right? Because you had your year-end data dump.
my.
And you drove the 308 GT4
Barely.
470 miles. So it's hard to say it's been good when you only drove it that.
I mean,
little.
yeah, fair enough.
Right?
I mean, I've drove it a lot of times, but what tends to happen is, like, my warehouse and the house are 12 miles apart.
Yeah.
And round trip. And so I go grab the car, I drive it to a friend's house or whatever. This is the Bay Area. Everything's tiny.
Yeah.
Like, so, I take it out for a drive, and that's 25, 30 miles.
Yeah.
I put it back, I grab the next car. And so, like...
You only have so many places to go,
I don't
and
go
most of
anywhere.
them aren't that far
Yeah,
away.
most of it is to my friggin' desk. Like 2021 was the year of the laptop.
Yeah.
That's all I did was work. Yeah. So, oh well.
So I have a similar situation. My shop is 6 miles from my house, and to me, driving the car means driving it home from work and then driving it back to work.
I mean, the fact that I wound up putting 11 or 12,000 miles on my own cars last year.
Yeah, although
Plus-
you did 2,500 miles on your E30 on one of your
On
two
Beatrice,
E30s,
the whore,
the old
yeah.
one, the coupe.
The coupe, yeah, the
coupe.
shitbox.
Because then you did some kind of was it a DWA rally or something?
No, I did a rally with a bunch of friends, but then I had to drive it down to LA I drove it down to Willow as my camera van, basically, with all of our equipment as our down to Willow. We did the Blackwing episode down there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I did a rally on the way home with 500 pounds worth of shit in the trunk
God.
in the car on the bump stops,
But
and a couple
it's
track days.
But that's a lovely car to do one of those rallies in, isn't it?
Best purchase I've ever made.
My wife and I did the DWA rally, the Coastal Range one, which I kind of hoped I would see you on. Not kind of. I did hope I would see you on.
There was a scheduling conflict. I love that rally. Love
It was my favorite group of people I've ever done a rally with, but I did it in the AMG fucking GT Black Series, which was so wrong.
So wrong.
It was so wrong.
You want a car where you're at 10 tenths. So I'll just back up. We did that Blackwing thing, and I had a CT5V Blackwing, which
I
epic.
get on Friday.
Okay. I won't say another word except watch the Icons video because it was fucking amazing.
I mean, how could it be? It's probably great.
The CT4V Blackwing, which was even better.
Really? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I had an M5 CS, which is bored me to tears, but is spec-fucking-tacularly good, and a Model S Plaid. And we're on a back road, and we're doing terrible, awful things, professional driver close course, and I get into Beatrice, fully loaded, literally sitting on the bump stops in the back, and laughed my ass off the entire way down the mountain.
Yeah.
That car at 9 tenths is slower than any of those other cars at 3 or 4 tenths.
Right.
And it sounds better than all of it because there's mechanical noise that you miss out. You want, for any of the back road rallies, you want something that envelops you with experience in all the good ways, without beating the shit out of you.
Well,
and
it also
the AMG
has,
does the opposite.
It has travel, the suspension.
It didn't,
not
but
with 500 pounds of shit in it, but we at one point there was a little section of the DWA where we had to go up this dirt road, and I just didn't want to break Mercedes' $400,000 press car, so I was like, I'm just going to leave this at the bottom of the dirt road. And Hannah and I hitched a ride with Warren in his E30, and we got in it. We went 100 yards. We went, oh fuck! Yeah. It's like I'm gonna have to buy one of these just to do these events.
I mean, honestly, my best rally car is the Mercedes. So the 190.
The 190. Yeah, because it's the same kind of thing.
Well, it's got suspension travel for days.
Yeah.
It's all sideways all the time.
Yeah.
And the engine's unbelievable. And
you did 1,000 miles in it this year.
Yeah. That was also, we filmed it. That was also having Randy lap it at Thunderhill against the E30 M3.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
That was fun.
That was a neat video actually.
Thank you.
So your annual data dump is up on here. I just want to go through a couple of your tops.
Okay.
Well, you really you rated the Raptor so highly, which for someone, because I know you don't. I know you feel kind of the same way I do about excess, and that there's a lot of it in our country. But does the Raptor manage to squeeze under that excess line?
Of course not.
It doesn't, right?
No, but here's the thing. You and I live in a world where we're sort of half journalists and half influencers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in that we have, I call myself I'm not a journalist, I'm not an influencer, I'm an influential journalist, right? The thing that I think the audience I have to constantly remind people is, it doesn't matter what I think. As a journalist, when I have my journalist hat on, which is 99.9% of the time, I'm out of the equation, right? So people can ask me, what would you do?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a different thing than giving a car a review. And the Cammisa verdicts
What would you do is buy 7 cars from the 80s.
That's what I did do.
People ask me,
that's what I did
what
do.
would you do?
Right.
I would buy a Lamborghini Countach.
Right,
Does that
exactly.
help you somehow?
Right. But that's me, and that's where I live, on the roads that I live on,
Right.
and the climate, whatever, blah blah blah. But as a journalist, my distaste for excess comes fully out of that. And as a journalist, I would say that the Raptor is a better luxury car than any luxury car there is.
It's better than a lot of them, for sure.
While I had that car, I drove to Reno and bought a 42-inch disco ball from a stripper.
I saw that,
which was a fun trip.
Good purchase.
It was. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait till you see it up in the room. And so I put my mom, and we did just a day-long road trip, and drove to Reno and back, and got back completely refreshed with a fucking 4-foot disco ball in the back. And by the way, along the way, we're driving through snow and saw some guy in an F-150 beached. I mean, this guy, the truck is completely off the ground, all 4 wheels just doing this, and we're like, I wonder if he needs help. And of course, I brought a tow rope because I'm actually a redneck.
Yeah.
And so we jump out. I jump out, and I'm like, "Is everything all right?" He's like, "No, I'm completely the fuck stuck." So I'm like, "All right, well, I guess I'll risk getting stuck for this dude." I back up to his car like it's nothing. I hook up the tow rope and dragged his F-150 sideways across 100 feet of 2 feet of snow. Like, I just kept looking back. I'm like, did the rope break? The Raptor didn't even fucking notice this guy as he's just beached across the whole field. And I get out, unhook him, and I leave. There's a measure of luxury that comes from the ability to not slow down for speed bumps or other cars.
That's true.
Or floods or snow or whatever. So if I look at what the meaning of luxury is,
you can redefine luxury in certain ways. When I had a Volt, I thought, and I had a carpool lane sticker. I was like,
luxury.
"Fuck your Bentley. Luxury is me going around this traffic in the carpool lane."
Right.
I had a Raptor, and there was a huge traffic jam on the 10 going to Phoenix one year, and I just turned off the highway and drove down the dirt 50, and I was like, "Luxury is me driving."
Yeah.
So you have a point there. You definitely have a point.
Would I buy a Raptor? No. But actually, if forced to buy a luxury car, I would personally buy a Raptor over an S-Class. But I would actually recommend it to people who are looking for... Look, we're at a point in our society's spoiledness that every car is a luxury car. Every car's got power windows, power door locks, ABS, traction control, great stereo, blah, 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 blah.
I'm driving a tiny little Audi that's actually a pretty decent luxury car.
I mean, get into a base Corolla.
Yeah.
Compare that to a luxury car
Actually,
from 30 years ago.
the base Corolla is like pretty decent.
Yeah.
It actually is. It's like slow, but but the inside is like a pretty nice, comfortable place to be.
Everything is nice and comfortable right now. I mean, we don't have miserable shit pile. Hold on, maybe we
I'll
do.
get to that.
But really, so when everything is luxury, let's talk about what's real luxury. Luxury is getting time back. So self-driving, that's a luxury. Being able to go anywhere and do anything is a luxury. Being able to open the exhaust and have that thing sound like a GTR Nismo and blow your neighbor's windows out, that's a luxury.
I don't love the sound of that engine. It's
It's
not my favorite, but
have you driven the new Raptor with the crossover exhaust? The thing
I
that
haven't
they did?
driven the newest, not the 2022 or whatever.
You have to drive. It's a 21, I think.
21 and up.
But what I
drove the 19 or whatever it was.
Redrive it.
Okay.
Because they did a hoop on the exhaust that makes the two runners equal length. So now it sounds like
better?
a VQ, like a Nissan VQ.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's fucking insanely loud.
Okay.
It sounds really good.
Okay.
No, wrong sound. I still think it needs a V8.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that the 6.2 Raptors were on this year's Hagerty bull market list.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
and that's like, even though it's wasteful and ridiculous, that's one of the things I like better about the TRX.
Right.
It sounds like the end of the world.
Well, that whole truck is wasteful and ridiculous.
Of course it is.
So go for it, right?
Yeah,
we don't put a 6-cylinder for fuel economy.
Yeah.
There'll be a Raptor R. They'll put a V8.
They will. So. Yeah. But speaking of shit heaps.
Oh no.
You wrote one of the, you know, the thing about most journalists and even influencers that have access to press cars is people accuse me either sometimes of being paid, which is ridiculous. You should have seen all I did was drive the Lucid Air, and you should have seen the fucking Tesla shills come out for that one.
Yeah.
And the Lucid Air was nice, not perfect, but nice. And I didn't say anything that was not appropriate about it, but
Until you cash the check, and then of course.
until I cashed the check.
Right.
Just but I think that a lot of people, and myself included, when we really don't like something, hedge our comments a little bit. And you did not regarding the Volkswagen ID4. And I'm going to read a quote that's fucking great. It's a great quote. I love it because you commit. And you tend to commit more than others. Verdict, VW ID4. Ferdinand Piech is spinning in his grave. This shit heap is what happens when the time card punching imbeciles are given the keys to the car company castle. Had Piech lived to see this, the homicide rate in Wolfsburg would have had a dramatic spike when the ID4 launched. Aggressive.
Did I get it wrong?
I don't think you did.
Okay.
I have limited ID4 experience, but Zach, who gave it a bad review but did not use the word shit heap, the little bit of experience I had with it, especially compared to my Mach-E, I was like, wow, this is terrible. It's really, really terrible.
So
Zach was a little more charitable because he's Zach.
Right.
I don't think Zach feels he's got the kind of industry pull to call something a shit heap and get away with it.
I don't think I'm going to get away with this.
You don't think so?
Well, I sat on that review for 6 months. I think it was almost 6 months from the time I wrote it until the time I published it. And I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And I would go occasionally back through my drafts and rewrite it, or tone it down and remove the word shit heap. And then at the very last second, I watched the little video of me. There's a video in that post of me getting locked in the car.
Right, I remember if you was trying to smash the door open.
My reaction of screaming was real. I was freaking.
What was
fuck
actually
out.
happening in that video? Because I can't. I would play it if we were in our studio, but I can't
It's
now.
right.
So
what had happened was the Audi A8 does the same thing to me, which is stupid beyond belief. When you pull the door handle, you are sending a command to the computer that requests the door to be opened.
An electronic door
release, right? Which is, you got to remember, that's a request that you're giving it to. And the computer, in this case, in the case of this car, sends, if granted, if the doors are unlocked or whatever, blah, 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 sends a command to the actuator that lasts, I think it's about 3/4 of a second from what it sounded like. I don't remember. And during that period of time, the assumption would be that the door latch spring pops it open. Mm-hmm. If you are, however, on any sort of incline, and in the case this was down, I was facing downhill, and also there's a little bit of a road crown to the right. It wasn't strong enough to pop the door open. So
because it was fighting weight, it was fighting gravity.
Right. And the spring that is in the door latch that nudges it open was strong enough to push it open halfway to the first latch, but not the second latch point. So I was talking to a buddy.
They don't have hills in Germany, by the way. They don't actually.
Right. But so I pressed the button. I was talking to a friend who was one ultimately took that video, and I went ka-chink like that, and I went to go push the door open, ka-chink, and wouldn't do it, and wouldn't open. And so then I figured it out after a second, but then he started running the video, and I said whatever I said to the camera. I'm like, whatever, blah blah blah.
You just said like, I hate this car,
and then
or
it
something.
wouldn't let me out. And the solution is you press and you immediately have to elbow the door open. And if you don't do it immediately, it relatches and you can't get the fuck out of the car.
That's a real problem.
That is a real problem.
That's a real problem.
And so once I watched that video and saw the fucking violence in my eye over this, I'm like, you know what? It gets a shit heap. Because there's a point at which a car is so fucking bad and let me, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a rant on this, that it becomes a pivotal moment for every journalist who's reporting on that car. Anyone who gave the E65 7 Series a good review back in the day should be fucking killed, right? That car was a tragedy from the minute it launched, and you have to call these things out, because how is anyone ever going to believe me when I give kudos to a good car if I don't say it when a shit pile is a shit pile?
Right.
And so this is one of those moments from VW. Back up for a second. VW installed some
and you're pretty, in general, you are a VW fan.
I mean,
you have no anti-VW bias.
No.
You're on your second e-Golf.
Right.
You have a Scirocco. You have a Cabrio. Like you've had Volkswagens.
probably more.
You've owned many.
Yeah, many.
Owned, leased,
and by the
old
way,
ones, new ones.
I think the final count is now 37 of my inner circle of friends drive Volkswagen products, thanks to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I accompany them to the dealership, and I'm like, I just want to spread the gospel of great cars.
Yeah.
And if it happens to be a Volkswagen or it happens to be whatever, but the reality was the MQB, the Mark 7 cars, were fucking amazing. And so everybody has one. My dinner parties at my house when they happen, it's like a VW parking lot.
It's Waterfest.
Yeah, it's basically Waterfest. And so I have no ill will towards Volkswagen at all. But we got to remember here, Ferdinand Pesch dies. The car Dieselgate happens kind of as a function of his authoritarianism, because when Pesch said you're going to make the car pass diesel emissions, come hell or high water, both happened and they fucking passed. He passes away and sort of retires in the last couple of years. And they install this guy, this tech wizard German guy. Of course, I can't remember his name. It's like Christian or Sebastian.
Is it in the thing?
No.
I don't believe it is.
Of course, and I'm not going to waste time looking it up. But they install this guy who's their tech wizard.
Their VW ID4 tech.
It's look up ID3.
Oh, ID3.
It's Christian. I'm pretty sure his name.
ID3.
Right.
Christian. Let's see. His name is Stadler.
Stadler.
Stadler?
Yep. Stadler?
No.
Hold on.
So Christian Senger.
Senger.
Or
Senger.
Christian Dahlhem. Senger. Head of Digital and Car Services.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Christian Senger.
So Senger was hired. And if we go back in history, remember that the ID4 is just the sort of Americanized sport ute version of the ID3, which is the golf-size car, which that was the original car that they did. So he was in charge of all of the UX and all of the onboard CAN network, the networking and whatever. Whether people realize it or not, your car is a roving computer.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And everything is done via CAN, including your request to open the door, right? So this guy was in charge of this entirely new electronic platform that would move everything centrally to the central screen a la Tesla, and everything would be done via network. It was so fucking bad that not only did they have to delay the ID3 by a full year and admit they started production and then delayed it, and they were like, we had to stop production. Think about what that cost Volkswagen.
Yeah.
To stop production for a fucking year to try to fix the massive problems that were, I shouldn't blame this guy, but I'm going to. He was...
Well, if he's ahead of the
and not only was he kind of the head of it, in German corporations you have sort of regular workers, then you have Vorstand, which is management board, and then you have Aufsichtsrat, which is board of directors. The Vorstand, which is the management board, are legally liable for what the company does. I mean, this is a massive big deal. It's being an officer of a corporation. He was Vorstand, responsible for in-car networking and UX experience and whatever else. And not only did they fire him from that, remove him from the Vorstand, they put him in some menial job where he's still there but does nothing because you can't fire anyone.
Oh, really?
Right. So
head of paperclips.
Head of paperclips. So if we are looking at this car as a pivotal moment in the history of Volkswagen, we have to remember that a board member was fucking fired over this and demoted to being a paperclip.
Could have had the food and beverage job.
Cost Volkswagen probably in
billions.
Actual billions with a B of dollars in delays and whatever. And the ID3 and the ID4 are the low point. And then you've driven that Mark 8 pile of shit. Sorry, that's unfair.
I drove it for a minute, and we actually have one coming to make a video with. We have a front-wheel drive and a Golf R in the next couple of weeks.
And so ID4 will be the low point. Mark 8 is significantly better than that in terms of all of, like, it got real window switches, for example, for the back. which the ID4 doesn't have. So Volkswagen, that's the low point. Volkswagen will recover for that. And I'm sure Volkswagen's PR people are going to be pissed off at me. But all I'll have to do is remind them, you had to fire a fucking Vorstand over this car. I'm not going to be nice to it.
Yeah.
It's that bad.
Yeah. So I mean,
sorry.
you know, well, you went for it, but you back it up. You've got points.
The car has...
It's not, it doesn't seem good. And you've got photos here of these, like, translucent buttons on the dash that are ridiculous.
God, you can't see them. Here's the other thing that really worries me about that car.
And you pop what should be a frunk, but isn't.
Okay, so...
And there's this sort of janky looking bit of bracing under there.
Right. And I had a bunch of engineer friends look at this to verify what I was thinking. First of all, if you are starting out with an all-new platform, so, you know, we got to remember, platforms last for decades,
yeah.
Right? This is a massive investment to have an all-new platform that's specifically for electric vehicles. And it doesn't have a frunk. Something's wrong right off the bat, right? B, when you start to look at that...
It's like, if you're not going to have an engine up there, at this point... You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Tesla had a frunk in 12, whenever the Model S came out.
Yeah.
You have 10 years. You've got 10 years to figure this out. Right. Ford obviously figured it out. Everybody else figured it out. Like, what are you doing?
Well, and here's what they're doing. If you look at that bracing, that's not a structural enhancement for handling. That's a crash reinforcement. MEB, this platform, is in the first iteration of a 20-year cycle, probably. And it couldn't pass crash without external fucking reinforcements. What does that tell me about the rest of the car?
Yeah.
That's where my mind goes. So I had engineers look at it, and of course, my interpretation was there's this big block of like deformable plastic.
Yeah, it's like it looks like foam or something.
It looks like foam or something, there, and that everything is tied into that to push all of those forces down and away from the passenger cell in a crash. This is the first year of decades of this platform fail. Something, not even enough fail. I'm sure it passes the crash test, but that's a sign that something went horribly wrong internally at Volkswagen. And when you start to add up these cumulative effects of the doors don't open on a hill, you can't see the buttons. It doesn't have fucking power window switches for the rear windows. It doesn't have a frunk. It's got external visible reinforcements for crash. I start to question the viability of the whole project.
Right.
And that's why I gave that car such a bad
That's how you end up with the word shit heap.
Shit heap.
There's a lot of issues there. I mean, like a lot of issues, and they are big. Yeah.
Worst car of the year. And frankly, I got to say, the thing that upset me the most about publishing that, because again, it's 6 months. I held on that thing for 6 months, scared to do this.
Yeah. Was
my phone lit up immediately with influencers and journalists all saying, "Oh my God, yes, worst car of the year." That's exactly how I felt about it. And I'm sitting there going, guys, why didn't you say it?
Yeah.
Like, now I got to be the asshole? Like, you know, which is a little fucked up. Look what you made me do. But, I mean, somebody had to say it, and no one did.
Yeah.
So,
anyway. I wrote something for the intercooler for Andrew Frankel and Dan Prosser, these guys over in the UK. The intercooler is an app. You can get it. It's got writing on it. It's great. It was nice of them to ask me to do it. And I published it this morning. And so look, I'll stand by what I said. So here's just a little excerpt of what I wrote, and it's about American Auto, and how they plan to convince people that EVs are cool.
Okay.
Save the planet? Who cares? We'll be dead by then. Cleaner air? Suck my rolled coal, cyclist. More efficiency so we can all live in a better place? Damn socialists ruining my freedom. Dodge, whose last 7 years of development boils down to a laser-focused, put-the-Hellcat engine in everything strategy, has a new tagline for its EV range. Tear up the streets. Seriously? We're going to save the planet by literally destroying the asphalt on which everyone drives? I, the woke urbanite, might roll my eyes at stuff like this, but the fact is, American Auto knows its customer. The more antisocial, overpowered, stupidly fast, and overweight the EV, the more rural Americans will want it.
Wow. Okay.
Aggressive, but defensible.
Okay. Yes, 100%. First of all, 100% true. Way to continue to divide, to drive a stake through the American public and divide it, but you're 100% correct. In fact, I did a Good Morning America appearance, and they cut it. The way this works. They just cut it. So I said the things they wanted me to say.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with anything I said, but it was very, very pro plug-in hybrid. So I posted the clip, and then I posted, hey, we all know how I really feel about EVs, and I think it was like 7 or 8 videos of me doing genuinely horrible shit in EVs. Burnouts in Model 3s. I did a tug-of-war Raptor versus my e-Golf.
Yeah.
I mean, just stupid, horrible shit to EVs and Taycan donuts and shit like that. But the reality is, I did that for exactly the reason that you just said. The reality is car guys as a whole are not going to accept EVs until A, they live with one, or B, they do fucking 2.0 second 0 to 60s. You're 100% right. And then rednecks on top of it, to use an endearing term because I'm an honorary redneck, are definitely not going to want it until they get 1,000 horsepower Lightning.
Yeah, I understand to a degree the appeal of selling a drag car.
Yeah.
Like I do. I like
100%.
Plaid, a Lucid Air with 1,100 horsepower,
Fine.
like Taycan Turbo S. Like, I get it. Drag car.
Yeah.
I get it. I saw in your thing that you put Taycan Turbo S as most disappointing. We can talk about that if you want, but still, to a degree, I get you're showing what EV power is really good at.
Yeah.
It's really good at
Being fast.
being a fucking drag car.
Right.
I get it. I do. But when you're reviving the Hummer brand, a brand that was basically greened out of existence, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And you're trying to make an EV cool by making it a fucking 7,500 pound, 1,000 horsepower. Something that's that's enormous, takes up a huge amount of space, and also is a drag car.
Right.
It's such a fucking antisocial thing to be doing.
It 100% is. But so is, we got to remember, the best-selling vehicle in the U.S., vehicles in the U.S., by a fucking factor of 2, are full-size pickups.
Sure.
Which are rolling excess.
Sure.
And wastefulness and gluttony and all of that other. Does anyone need a full-size pickup?
I would, obviously there's a few people that do.
100%.
But
So
I would
$2
say
million
that,
a year?
I would say that most people don't need a truck of the size and power that they sell today.
Correct.
Versus what they were selling 15 years ago.
Correct.
If they, you know what I mean?
And yet they sell better than ever.
They do.
I think it's a genius move on the part of the car companies to do
Well,
this.
the end of my article, the last sentence of my fucking article, I just read a little excerpt. The last sentence of my article is, they will sell every one they build.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's and so the problem is both the consumer and it's just the problem is us as a society and our need to be excessive.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not the fault of one individual consumer. It's not the fault of we're just in this cycle and unfortunately you and I are part of we're a leg of the fucking tripod because the car that we put in the cover when the Tesla Plaid runs a fucking 9 seconds, or when the new Super Duty can tow 75,000 pounds, they feel the need to continually top that, and we're part of the problem, unfortunately. So I'm attempting to at least recognize that.
You're right. You're right. I mean, the reality of it is my heaviest car is a 3,400 pound e-Golf, which is 134 horsepower electric nothing.
Dude, I owned a Hummer
access.
H1. 24-year-old me drove a Hummer H1.
Oh, now you are woke. Because
I'm not.
Now you're
I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah.
24-year-old me owned a Hummer H1. 29-year-old me owned a Raptor.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? I'm getting more and more reasonable as my historical collector cars get more and more ridiculous. You know what I mean? So like. Yeah, am I woke? Am I maturing? Right. Do I feel like I've realized that having so much more than you actually need or use is kind of dumb? I also think that the race to 1 second 0 to 60 times are kind of dumb. Already these cars are so fast I feel ill.
Yeah, no, it's not.
I mean,
we're way past the point of sense.
If you launch a Plaid or a Lucid or a Taycan Turbo S twice in a row, you will feel physically ill.
Yeah, without question. Yeah, and it shouldn't be that. It really should.
Well, beyond, you remember when they thought your face would tear off if you went 100 miles an hour, and they thought the wind would. We are actually almost at the point where the car can make you feel deeply uncomfortable.
I mean, remember that a
physically.
Formula One car could kill you. Like, actually, you put you or me in something where that. Not to insult you, but hold on.
No.
You put me in a Formula One car. I will definitely pass out. Yeah. I will likely die from the G-forces. We are now at a point where just because we could doesn't mean we should.
Right.
Look, what you point out is that American society is in general, but Americans, I think, we're a little bit worse than average, are in love with excess.
Yeah.
And it's something I have a little house, I have little cars, I love efficiency. There's something really great about that, but I think it's a really hard thing to teach people. You can't say to them, why don't you appreciate the sort of finer, smaller details of something rather than this car does 0 to 60 in 2 seconds.
And I also think it comes into much clearer relief when you have something like this Hummer or a TRX where you physically take up so much space. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I can't wait to see these fucking Hummers parked in parking spaces. Right. And the wheels are literally a millimeter from the white line. You go, what? I'm in the lines. It's like, well, where am I supposed to open my door exactly?
Yeah, but here's the other thing is, remember that when I mentioned the whole journalist thing, it's, me, I live in one place. Where I live, the roads are little, the parking spaces are tiny. Like, F-150, every time I have one, or an F-250, a Raptor, it's a fucking pain in the ass here.
Yeah.
But it's not a pain in the ass in Texas. It's not a pain in the ass in half of the country where most of those cars are sold. So I got to pull myself out of that and be like, okay, this is excess and ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I see a lot of half-ton pickup trucks in LA. Not as many giant 3500s, admittedly, but tons of Raptors.
They are a pain
tons
in the
of
ass.
TRXs, and anything that's a 1500 or 150. I see them all over the place.
But let's be honest, LA is the sort of capital of excess.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's no surprise that people will say, I'm happy to cram this thing into a parking spot and, hit 3 Priuses on the way in just so I can look butch.
Yeah.
It's why everyone in Beverly Hills has a G-Wagon. I love me a G-Wagon.
But the G-Wagon, to its credit, and admittedly, I have my issues with the G-Wagon. I think when I get in one, I instantly become an asshole. I drive like an asshole. I feel like an asshole, but I'm kind of enjoying it, you know what I mean? But it's got a small footprint.
Yeah.
It doesn't take up that much space on the road. I think because it's so tall, you drive it way faster than you should be driving it. And because it sounds great with a side exhaust, you use way more throttle than you should be using. But at least it doesn't.
It's not. They're commendably small.
Yeah, they are.
But what they do is project an image.
Correct.
A car's a costume. It's an outfit, right? You put a G-Wagon on, all of a sudden you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Some 5'2" chick who's like, in the world is a small, demure-looking person gets in. Oh, I'm a superhero, and that's
that used
the
to
appeal.
happen with excursions.
Absolutely,
it used to happen all the time. Like when I was growing up in New York with Tahoes and Suburbans, that was it. And now the G-Wagon allows you to do that at a higher level of luxury.
It's even Jeep, right? It's a Jeep thing is fascinating because you get somebody pulls up in a Wrangler, or you see a Wrangler and you're like, whether you're conscious of it or not, you're like, that person's cool, that person's adventure-y, that person's outdoorsy, blah, 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 blah. And it gets out. It doesn't matter who the person that gets out. What you've seen first is that they chose to drive a Wrangler, which means like you can't.
Cars are outfits.
Right. Somebody pulls up in a Wrangler, you can't not like them. Like, I don't want a Wrangler. I kind of do.
No, it depends on the Wrangler. There's certain, like, body kits and shit, and there's certain... You can modify a Wrangler in a way that will make me instantly not like you.
Yeah, but you can modify anything in that way.
Yeah.
But, it's at the end of the day, F-150, Chevy full-size pickup, Dodge Ram, that's an outfit. And when you're in parts of the country where they're 90% of the cars on the road, you're now anti-establishment if you don't have one. And so you just fit in.
It is true. It is true. And when Zach and I went to make All Cars Go to Heaven 3 in Texas, which you can get it on YouTube right now. Please go watch it. Our original plan was to buy our sedans that we were going to turn into crossovers in Texas. Fucking impossible. Yeah. There's no such thing as a used station wagon within 150 miles of
because
Austin.
Why would you? You don't have the geographic constraints of LA where everyone's on top of each other and there's parking spots are little.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of nowhere.
I mean,
Austin's not.
Austin's not the middle of nowhere, but Yeah, I tend. In one hand, I totally agree with you. On the other hand, some of the stuff is nationally standardized. Road lane. The road lanes aren't physically wider in Texas. They're the same fucking size they are.
True. Although let me tell you, we're in Marin County right now. There are roads I can't go on in like an F-150.
Sure.
Like we have.
I just did
the interstates,
roads up in wine country where if you were driving an F-150, it would be like,
it's a big. Sucks. You're backing down looking for a turnout that you can get out because two cars don't fit with. I mean, so where I live, I call them goat paths. There are like all these houses that are on goat paths, and you kind of do need something with ground clearance because you drop a wheel and it's like a foot down and you're scraping your control arms and. It just that's the reason why people like you don't see GLSs here. You do see a lot of GLCs, because it's a pain in the ass to have a GLS. The biggest Mercedes.
Oh, the
truck.
GLS, right? Yeah.
You don't see a lot of Escalades. You don't see a lot of
F-150s. They added the S to that.
Well, just remember the prefix of GL means truck, and then you have A, C, E, and S.
I completely forgot that was a thing.
Yeah,
I just don't remember.
But they're probably everywhere, and you don't even see them. Because they're sort of,
Yeah, they blend in. They're just kind of whatever. But anyway, so
I don't like excess either. I'll be honest with you. And people,
I'm trying to be a better citizen by rejecting excess, at least to the degree that it makes other people's lives, that I take up more space, or that I use way more resources than I need to be using for my task. That's all.
I'm with you with my little cars, and I love efficiency. I don't. If you notice, like if you look at the Icon series, it's not all Lamborghinis and Ferraris and excessive kind of stuff because I don't really connect with that buyer. Yeah. I don't really connect with the people who are like, oh, let me supercharge my Lambo. I just don't. That's not. I'd rather somebody say, you know what, I'm going to go buy like a 60s Alfa Romeo and put a hot cam in it and like, quadruple Webers or some stupid shit like that. I just think that's a better use of the world's resources and their money. Frankly.
Well, I'm surrounded by people who are buying the newest supercars. Right. And I don't find them particularly interesting. And that's not to shit on any individual who wants to go out and buy a supercar. Right. But it's definitely not the most interesting intellectual group of folks.
It's often very visually motivated, and let me project an image, right?
Well, if you come to Cars and Coffee in Malibu, right, which is a place I like to be because of Bill and because of my group of friends that has breakfast there and whatnot. And you see new supercar X, you have, and I'm not exaggerating, an 80% chance that supercar has an Instagram tag on the car. On the fucking car. It's like a rally driver has their name on the car. Like, that to me is like, we've taken this car as an outfit thing to the only next step is the car paired with an NFT, which fucking kill me. Please.
Right. Basically, what they're doing is the next step will be them having paparazzi following them around, fake taking photos of them. At the end of the day, this is
there's a service that does that.
I'm sure.
There's a service that will you pay them and they'll treat you like a celebrity. They'll follow you around and take pictures. It's a couple $1,000 to do it in LA.
This is why I don't live in LA. I'm sorry.
I don't do this, but I just know that it exists.
I just can't deal. So the funny thing, so Malibu.
Do you want to come to LA and have a water tasting?
No.
You can get a water tasting. It's like $50 a person. Seriously. And they'll do it like a water sommelier.
I taste water every day. Okay, so what I love, if anyone like ever comes to California and they want a quick cultural differences lesson between Northern California and Southern California, go. I guess I should say Marin and Malibu, right? They both start with M. They're both short letters. You go to Malibu Cars and Coffee, and it's supercar. Oh, look, an old car, whatever, blah, blah. You go to Marin Cars and Coffee, and the supercars are ignored. They park on the side, and people are like, ugh, get them out of here. Oh, is that a fucking weird-ass Citroen BX that somebody, like... I'm just not a supercar guy.
That's me. I don't.
You do.
I pay attention to the weird old stuff. I'll go all the fucking way across the lot to look at like
Malibu,
an Alpina fucking 2002 BMW. Yeah, is that a mint Pontiac Grand Prix?
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at all the buttons on the steering wheel. Like,
this is why Radwood is so awesome.
Yeah,
because yes, of course, a Countach, everyone loses their mind at Radwood, but like. insert name of shit pile that you haven't seen in 20 years, and everyone loses their mind over it. That's my sort of mindset. That's why I love those guys.
Yeah, the existence of a 10,000 mile '89 Pontiac Grand Prix is enough to make me very, very excited.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. On Instagram the other day, I posted a picture of, I was helping a friend move from one warehouse to another.
Jason Camisa on Instagram. No punctuation, just follow.
At Jason Cammisa. He's got an absolutely mint, perfect 50,000 mile Mazda Navajo.
You did post it, and the license plate was rebadged.
So I'm literally driving from one warehouse to another, and I see a white Explorer on the side of the road, and I stop, jump out, click one picture, and then I took a bunch of other ones, and just make a post of like, oh my god, this is so awesome, and everyone loved it.
The Navajo is a pretty impressive rebadge in terms of how little they did.
Of how terrible.
It's just a badge. I mean, that's almost nothing. And
the grill's different. And I think they did black bumpers and but no. I mean, it's
at Radwood. I was reminded of a vehicle that only existed, I think, for a year, which was the Acura SLX. Yeah. The Acura Isuzu Trooper.
Yep.
Which is hilarious.
We all forget about that one.
Yeah. And in foreign markets, there was the Bighorn, which was the Isuzu Bighorn was the Trooper. But like in Australia.
Oh no shit!
And when we were in New Zealand, there was a Bighorn that had a handling by Lotus.
Oh my god!
There was
amazing.
a Lotus handling Bighorn. Yeah.
God.
It was fucking wild. But yeah, I mean, weird car. The weird stuff. If I saw, like, there's a Shelby Dakota convertible in my neighborhood, and I lose my fucking mind every time I see it. And nobody else.
I think the appreciation for coolness and weirdness and whatever is what I love about sort of today's car community. I should say today. I think people are gravitating in that direction. Thank God.
I hope
because I don't like the other way, which is how much did you pay for this? Because I got to tell you, anyone could go buy a $300,000 Ferrari, right? Okay, not everyone can physically
any
do
rich
it.
person,
but anyone, you save up enough money, you can go buy it, whatever, blah blah blah. Good for you. It takes a special kind of fucktard to buy, I don't know,
a turbocharged like a Callaway Golf.
Yeah, like that buddy with the rebadge thing had a Plymouth Colt GLS Turbo or whatever fuck turbo. It was gold.
Yeah.
He bought it from the original owner who had just rebuilt the motor, who was 900 years old. It was fucking amazing. It was so much fun to drive, and it was so different. I'm like, of all the cars you could have chosen, you chose that.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. And then he bought a Mondial.
And that's an interesting person. Right. That person, I want to hang out with that person. He's got that weird
exactly.
shit.
He then graduated to Ferrari. I was just yelling at him because he's got all these $5,000 shit boxes, and he's spending. I didn't yell at him, but I'm like, you want to reduce because you have
to consolidate upwards.
You for the amount of money that you have sticking in these cars, plus the amount you're paying to store them every month, which is the big issue here. I'm like, you could really have something you genuinely love. Unlike the Colt, he didn't love, he liked. I'm like, just go get one you love. And next thing I know, boom, Mondial T, coupe.
T coupe?
T coupe.
T coupe is very rare.
Or 337
That's
or whatever.
Really rare. And, I didn't even know they made a T coupe, a proper T coupe.
I
thought they abandoned the coupe at the 3.2. They made
it's double-digit numbers. It's like
Get
61.
The fuck out of here.
Yeah, it's red. It's really nice. It's really
Does it drive
cool.
good?
I'll keep my GT4. It is very nice, but it's also a little bit too refined. Mm-hmm. So it's a very good GT, but then the suspension bottoms out on everything, which is my problem with the 308 GTBs and whatever. That you kind of get that everything's fine, bam, boom, bam, boom, whatever. It's really nice. I would have it
when
over
Donnie fixes my brakes. He's putting new shocks in my car too, new shocks and bushings.
Oh God, you better rev up your Patreon to pay for all this.
I've been ready. I've been ready for it. It's all right.
I'm so scared.
It is what it is.
I'm so scared of repair bills on that car.
The repair bills for my Ferrari are not any worse than the bills for my G-Body 911.
Really?
No.
I mean, I had a oil cooler pop a leak on mine, and it was $610 at the cheapest I could find it. I'm like, this is a $90 oil cooler.
Huh.
And just because its application is for a Ferrari, it's $600.
Yeah, I mean, I might be getting a deal because I talk about Donnie and send him a lot of business. Yeah. So I might not be paying market price, but like.
But you're used to paying people to work on cars, and so that means you're used to paying retail. So the example I can give is an axle for my VWs retail is $500.
Yeah.
So if you pull it up in Worldpac or any of those sort of back end companies that supply local mechanics, it was, I think the last time I bought one was $495 retail, $41 wholesale.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I have friends that own shops, and I just torture them. Hey, can you order me, like, whatever? And I pay wholesale pricing. And so, wholesale price on an axle for a Volkswagen is not that much different than wholesale price on an axle for Ferrari.
Yeah.
It's, I'm sorry, retail. It's the wholesale that's different.
Well, he might be passing along wholesale parts costs to me.
He could be.
I could definitely.
But if he's not, though, then the Ferrari parts are different. Like, Porsche reverse switch from my 996 was like $194 at the dealership. Years ago, I had a wholesale account with them. It, boom, turned into $12.
Yeah.
So there's just, on luxury, quote-unquote luxury brands, there's a huge markup. And so if you're not used to paying wholesale, it doesn't seem like any money.
I mean, I will say Donnie just had to get a distributor for my Countach because one of the magnetic points were, and to get it in America was $3,000.
Holy all right, so this is the point.
He was already going to Europe for something else. There's a swap meet in Turin or something like that every year, and he's like, I can get it there for like €50, and he went there, and who had one? Valentino Balboni, and he got it from Valentino for like €85.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So this is the problem with those cars. So I had an aftermarket mirror on my GT4. Like, there's only one outside mirror. It's on the left. It doesn't have a passenger side one. And it was an aftermarket Vitelloni, which is the correct thing to put on the car, quote unquote. And it would flop all the time. So I had a friend of mine looking for mirrors for me, and he sort of lives in this world. And I was looking online, couldn't find it. Used passenger side mirror, which would be upside down and not correct, were like $500 to $1,000 for a fucking mirror. And he found it at a tag sale, like one of these flea market swap meet for $100.
Yeah.
New old stock. Absolutely perfect mirror. And the problem is, I would have paid $1,000 for a used one that wasn't correct. This is the problem with these cars. This is what scares it. It scares me.
Yeah.
Because that shit doesn't happen for Volkswagens. Ain't nobody paying $1,000 for a fucking mirror.
Yeah.
And that's where my income level puts me as like ghetto Volkswagen owner.
Yeah. I mean, I would have paid the $3,000 for the distributor if I had no other choice. Right. I mean, and that car in particular is now worth a lot more than I paid for it, so it's worth it to get the correct thing. But with the 328, it's worth what I paid for it forever. It'll never it's never gonna pop a 328. And so I'm just trying to get miles on it, and I'm happy that I don't give a shit about putting miles on it.
Isn't that refreshing? Isn't that
freeing? It is. My E46 is a little too nice, and I'm being a little bit of a pussy about it. But the 328 is nice, but not that nice, not perfect. That's nice. So I have absolutely no problem. I don't look at the odometer ever. I don't give a shit.
I love that.
We got a bunch of questions from our Patreon to contribute your questions to our live shows, to get an ad-free experience, to not have to wait until Tuesday, Thursday. Patreon.com/The Smoking Tire Podcast. Be a patron today. We've got like 40 questions. We're not going to get to all of them, and I haven't pre-reviewed them. So forgive me if I skip around a little bit. No, we got time. I just want to. I might end up skipping around, and we might get a little repetitive. And if your question is repetitive, I may skip it. Micah wants to know thoughts on the new Ioniq 5. Have you driven the Ioniq 5?
I have not yet.
Looks cool as hell, doesn't it?
Oh my god, I don't care how it drives because
looks awesome.
I wish it looked the way it did in photos because apparently it's big. It kind
it's
of
a little
looks
bigger
like a
than you think. It does. It's bigger than a Golf.
Yeah. If that thing was like Golf size, I would genuinely consider.
It's the size of like a GLA Mercedes, not the size of a Golf.
Too big for
me.
But
it looks like a concept car.
Looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, from everyone that I know that's trusted it, that I trust who's driven it, it does what it needs to do. Man.
Let's see. Hunter, a lot of people want to know about the ID4, but I think we covered that pretty sufficiently.
That poor thing.
Let
me say one quick thing about the ID4. It drives fine. It's got enough space inside. It's quiet. It's smooth. It rides reasonably well. It does all of the things. I think that it's only fair for me to say this, and I mentioned it in the Instagram.
You did say in Instagram.
Volkswagen has built. I tried to look up how many cars Volkswagen has built cumulatively through the life of this company, and I couldn't find it. But I mean, they sold 11 or 12 million cars last year. This is a company that's probably built billions of cars. Of course, they can build a car that goes down the road okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
I will
not
give
the issue.
Volkswagen credit. There's a lot of children screaming.
Oh, there's recess.
Yeah,
I was like, is that a murder or is that okay?
Both. So yeah, I will give Volkswagen credit for making a car that actually drives okay, but that's a given.
Okay. Joe says opinion on Mark II Jetta GLIs.
Yes. Make sure it's a 16 valve is my first and last piece of advice.
All right. Make sure it's a 16 valve.
And actually, 87 and 88 had tiny little brakes that had unvented 10-1s up front instead of the vented ones.
You really don't see the Jettas have not survived. Back in like the late 90s, Jettas were pretty cool. Yeah. And I don't know if it was the Fast and the Furious Jetta that made them not cool.
Well, that was a Mark III, and it was like an automatic, and it was a 2-point slow, and it just did it. But yeah, that wasn't going to help its cause. But no, Mark II Jetta.
But
Jetta
cool
GLI
kids
16
drove
valves were
Jettas
cool.
back in the day.
They had the best Recaros ever put into a production car ever.
Good seats, yeah. Richard Wakefield wants to know if you've driven the Elantra or Kona N.
No, not yet. Can't wait to.
Zach drove those. Check out our review. Miguel requests random. I don't think we're doing random numbers off the spreadsheet today but we let's go back to your 2021 mileage nerd out.
So what I didn't do this year, which I usually do, is the superlatives, like the car that surprised me.
No, you have
most.
some. You have a couple.
Those are from previous years. So
they are. Oh, that's 2020. Oh shit, you're right. You didn't. Okay, well you drove 65 cars.
65 press cars.
Press cars. Right. For 11,270 miles. You drove your own cars 12,651 miles. I think it's surprising that you drove your own cars more than you drove press cars. That doesn't usually happen.
But I mean,
that never happens for me.
The last couple of years, thank God it has, and I try for that. Like I try not to get press cars for chunks of time because I would like to drive my own cars. But if you pull the e-Golf's miles out of there, it was 3,800 miles on the e-Golf this year, which it's not enough miles on the old cars. But Beatrice, the Shitbox 3 Series.
Yeah, 2,500 for that.
Right. If you pull Beatrice, which is, rally and whatever else miles, I didn't really drive the cars enough. Oh, well.
I think in 2021, the second half, I got way too many cars. We had a pretty good run of selling ads, frankly, on our YouTube channel. And what happens when you sell ads is you have to get cars to make videos for those ads. Right. And so at one point, Zach and I would have, there was like a month where Zach and I had 4 press cars at a time.
Oh God. Hell.
Which was actually like, it was a problem.
Yeah,
like cars were just sitting, like it was really stupid. But we had to make videos.
You got to do
cars.
it. Right.
And so this year, and what we learned actually at the end of the year was that some of those we were getting cars just to get cars. Mm. And some of them weren't doing very well. Like our audience wants to see us do sports cars. Right. They don't really want to see us do
Toyota Venzas,
electric crossovers and stuff like that. And so we're gonna put some of those aside. We're gonna really stick to sports cars this year. I'm only gonna get one at a time, and I'm actually giving myself 4 or 5 day breaks in between press cars so that I actually drive my own shit.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hard. It sounds like a selfish, entitled asshole thing to say, but I don't want to drive other people's cars. The reason I buy my own cars is I've chosen them, and if there's a Toyota Venza outside, I don't fucking. Yeah. Which, by the way, that's one of the Insta reviews that's waiting to go. That's for months now. It's spectacularly good at what it's supposed to do. I just don't want to drive it.
Well, that's why for at least the first half of 2021, I've only got, or not the first half, my schedule in 2021 are only cars that I am actively interested in driving.
2022?
Sorry, 22. Yeah. Blackwing. I've got the new WRX. Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we've got. I saw it here. I haven't driven it yet. I've got the new GTI and Golf R, the new M240i, and that's all I have on the list right now. List. But like, I'm only doing enthusiast cars, and I have some gaps in between. Sean Finney, 2-car solution. What daily driver under 45,000, new or used, would you pair with an ND2 Miata in the Washington, D.C. area?
Tesla Model Y long range, used.
Okay.
I mean,
if you can charge it at home.
Right. I mean, look, in a fantasy world, G-Wagon.
Yeah. But
G-Wagon and ND.
Are you getting one of those for 45 grand?
No.
No, definitely not, right?
God damn it.
45 grand?
I mean, CX.
I mean, 45 grand will get you
a loaded CX-5.
A loaded CX, like a really loaded CX.
Really nice car.
That's actually a very nice car. They don't get enough credit for building such a nice car.
That's so good.
45, it will just barely get you into this Audi S3, and I wouldn't get a base one.
I'd have a GTI with $20,000 in the bank. Like
probably true. Yeah, probably
GTI
true.
And ND. I mean, the thing. This goes back to what would I do versus what should you do? Like, I don't know this. Where, like, DC area. Okay, do you need snow? Do you go somewhere where you need 4-wheel drive? Do you autocross? Do you track day?
Well, they have a Miata for that. This is a daily. They need a daily driver.
How much of a commute? Is it a 100-mile commute? Because then an electric car, unless you can't. That's the problem. It's like, what would I do? Yeah, I'd have some electric.
Washington D.C. I think of traffic, crappy roads, fairly crappy weather.
Model Y. Yeah, Model Y, charge it, put it on autopilot.
Yeah, I mean, you're not really getting a used Mach-E at this point. Maybe you are. I don't know what they go for.
Yeah, I don't know. Not yet. Too soon.
Too soon. Chris Nolke, loved All Cars Go to Heaven, loves the latest Icon. Says the Blackvue video is one of the best pieces of media this year. I'm going to have to go watch that.
Thank you.
What car positively surprised you each the most this year, and which one negatively surprised you?
Oh, God damn it. Well, the ID4 is clearly the worst car of the year. I mean, negatives. I mean, I'm trying to think what my problem.
What car positive surprised me the most was honestly the Lucid.
Okay.
The Lucid, for a company's first product ever, it was shockingly coherent. It wasn't perfect, but it felt really tight. It felt really nicely made. The ride quality was extraordinary. The regenerative braking and the programming of all that stuff was really, really good.
The guys on that project drive E39 M5s. That was their engineering target. So
Really?
I haven't driven the final car. I
thought it was very nice. And I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. I thought it would be pretty good, but not great.
I'm a little disappointed that I haven't gotten in the car yet. It was a timing issue and whatnot. But that, I'm not surprised. I won't be surprised that was that good.
Yeah.
My favorite car of the year was without question Subaru BRZ.
It was
I haven't driven
great.
BRZ. It was GR86.
Yes, it's the same.
And
I drove both.
I
That's
mean
the
this
same.
when I say it. If that thing had a hatchback, I would say goodbye to the e-Golf.
Yeah.
I would say goodbye to Beatrice, and I would say goodbye to my Lotus.
Yeah.
I would take all three of those cars, combine the money, buy a BRZ, and put 30 grand in the bank, and just have a hatchback, utilitarian, track car, back road car, daily driver. What a fucking car.
They improved it from the old one in all the ways it needed it,
Yep.
and they managed to not fuck it up in the process, except in one way. They got rid of the knee pads.
Who are you giving blowjobs to? What are you talking about, Nick?
So when they first launched the 86 in 13 or whatever it was, I got bruises on my knees from driving it.
Yep.
They then, after the facelift, put fucking knee pads there. And then the new one,
Doesn't have
knee
them.
pads are gone.
I put a lot of miles on it. I think I put like 400 on the first one on back roads and whatever, and I do remember
I
being
had a
little bit
massive
bruised.
bruise on my left knee because it goes right where the window switches are. And they put them on the facelift, and then they took them away for the new one.
Which means they know about it, and they'll put it back.
Well, then we went to the press presentation, and they talked about them being there in the press presentation, but they weren't in the cars.
Oh, shit. Oops.
Both
That's a
me
little
and
bit,
Jason Fensky caught errors in the press presentation. But that car
asshole.
ruled. What car negatively surprised me? The Audi RS7. I thought
driven that thing
it's the
yet.
same as the RS6,
Which I also haven't driven
just
yet.
without a wagon. But I drove it after driving my Mach-E for a week, and even a very fast, high-powered 48-volt mild hybrid gasoline sports sedan felt seriously outdated and laggy compared to a medium-fast EV.
This is the problem. So the e-Golf does 0 to 60 in 8.4. It is not quick. My fucking supercharged Lotus Elise feels slow after I drive that. You can't go back.
I know.
You can't go back.
Yeah.
But I mean, my problem with Audis has always been this sort of lack of involvement in the driving experience. And so you have something that's an isolation chamber, even if it's really fast. Now you're noticing the lag, the transmission slowness, all the rest of the stuff. That's what it becomes clear, and no thanks.
Yeah. I'm excited for the electric Rolls Royce. I think they should have been the first one through the door.
Absolutely.
They had the concept too.
Perfect use case. No one ever goes anywhere with it. You never see a Rolls Royce doing
no
a
one
road
gives a
shit.
shit if it's 6,000 pounds.
Exactly. You know what helps with weight and silence? A big fucking 2,000-pound battery below the floor. What the fuck are they? That was the biggest misstep.
They said that one is coming, but they're so late at this point.
That should have been the concept that they did in Geneva in like 15 or 16 or whatever.
It was there.
Like EXP 100 or whatever the fuck. That should have been
Just print it.
Yep.
Print, go to film.
Go. Done.
Andrew Mulreen says Icons with Blackwing Platinum M5 was a visual effect masterpiece. What are the design and filming processes that go into making these visual effects? Walking along the drag race at the beginning was mind-blowing and effective at showcasing the results in a more visceral manner than just giving raw numbers.
Okay, so you haven't seen the episode.
I haven't.
You probably shouldn't.
I probably
because
should.
It is, I will say, I can say this because this is as the result of my team and Anthony, my director. It's the best produced piece of content that I've ever made, that we've ever made. And I'm going to say this sounds like an asshole. It's the highest quality production value you can find anywhere in the world right now on a car thing, right? Grand Tour's special was actually really good.
I enjoyed Carnage à Trois. I thought it was really funny.
It was great. I laughed the whole time.
I thought it was very funny.
But what we did on that was we raced very quickly in the beginning of the episode. We lined up a Plaid, an M5 CS, and a CT5V Blackwing. And remember that the Blackwing is the most powerful and fastest Cadillac ever. And the M5 CS is the most powerful and quickest BMW ever. And just before you even know it, the drag race starts to happen and it's over. And we freeze frame when the Tesla is crossing the line, and I magically appear, thanks to some cool effects,
and
outside the car,
distance?
and I walked it. And it was 400, I think it was 430 feet back towards the start line.
Was it a quarter-mile drag race?
Quarter mile.
That's a
one third of the way back to
back.
start finish was where the Cadillac wound up. And so I explain what's going on. But the difference between the fastest and most
third
powerful,
of the track is a long way.
Third of the track is a long way.
I have a lot of issues with Tesla as a company and some of their design choices regarding that steering wheel, but there's no questioning that is a particularly good drag car.
Yeah.
And when you're going straight, a yoke is fine.
Well, and by the way, then we had Randy Popes there. I brought Randy out,
Yeah.
and I had him set a lap in the Tesla, which, by the way, was just a fucking Turo car. Like, it was just a rented
I saw
car.
that's hilarious.
Right? The Model S, the M5, and the Blackwing, and the results surprised all of us. So you should watch that. Dun, dun, dun.
Jordan says, Jason, what would your recipe be for getting the best combination of sound and performance from a BMW M20 engine?
Leave it stock. Leave it stock. Don't do the Shrek cam that
cams.
I did, that I got 1 horsepower from. I mean, maybe a little bit more, but I think there's a bunch of what everyone's doing is this, like, it's an exhaust header that I can't do because California emissions. But there's not really all that much you can do with it. Just enjoy the noise it makes.
Anonymity, which car from each other's garages would you take the keys and never give back?
Your Countach, I think.
I mean, yeah. I would take your 325 Touring.
Nice. Okay.
That's a left-hand drive car, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would take that. If you ever want to sell that, I'll take it.
You can't afford it, pal.
I know. I don't know what that is.
You can afford it. You can afford a $3,000 distributor.
I know.
You can afford a fucking E30.
Only when the car goes up 100% in 3 years, then I can. Daniel Berman, what caused BMW to go this far astray? I understand changing with the times, but this seems too extreme. Even looking at the change from E46 to E90, one can't help what caused such a massive cultural shift at a company that seemed to be very self-aware.
100% correct. And that is, as always, people. It's who's in charge. The management at that time of BMW changed dramatically and installed a new program by where every executive or every employee of the company needs to change jobs every 2 years. And that doesn't work in an industry where a product cycle is 4 to 6 years of development. And so what you need to have is one person at the top who really understands not just what the market is, but what the image of the company is, and then assigns delegates responsibility to one person who understands what that product line really means. So, for example, it used to be that 3 Series would have one person who shepherded a generation from start to finish, and that means conception to design to engineering to packaging to building and construction and after sales. And BMW got away from that. And so what happens is people come in the middle of a project that's already underway. They come from a different department, so they don't know what they're doing. And I mean a different department. Somebody could come from facilities and wind up in design, or somebody could come up, that's a slight exaggeration, but in all seriousness, people that I know in product planning have had to do stints in events and marketing, and they're just not compatible. So you have people who are in the middle of a project, ripped off of it and replaced by someone who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, has come in the middle of it, and that's why you see things like that grill on the 3 Series, the M3.
That is.
That was somebody that came in
atrocious.
and had 2 years. They had one shot to make their mark and design before they moved on to some other department.
Yeah.
And so you wind up with
That's
no one at
heinous.
the wheel.
Like, the second I drove the new M3, I was like, I need an E46 like yesterday.
And the annoying thing is that the M3 with a fucking automatic is way better than the M3 with a manual, and I hate saying
I know.
that.
I actually agree.
They phoned it in.
It's unfortunate. The manual feels like it's dragging an anchor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not good.
No.
Just it sucks because you want the manual to be better.
Yeah.
Like the V10 cars, they tried to sell us that, it was meant for the SMG and the manual's an afterthought, but like drive one now and you go, no, the manual's fucking obviously better. But
And even still, the manual still sucked compared to what they could have done.
great,
They sandbagged it anyway.
Yeah.
Fucking Germans.
Continue. Alan says, dream icons episode if you had the access and budget.
Probably 288 GTO F40 F50 Enzo, maybe, with 250 GTO.
A 250 GTO.
Let me just do for
I
our
got to go
GTO
for
episode.
a shotgun hot lap in a 250 GTO, and let me just say that I understand why people pay so much for those things. The guy I was driving was caning the fuck out of it, and I was incredibly impressed at its performance and its sound and
Remembering especially when that thing happened.
I don't
not
like
going.
I don't like ride right seat and enjoy it very often, but I was like, well, it's a GTO. I'm not going to like say no, and yeah.
I got a sideways lap of Mont Tremblant in a 250 Testarossa with the owner of Mont Tremblant taking me around. It was starting to rain, and he caned it around the track, and I was like, 30 how many million?
Yeah,
Like, whatever.
I get it. Yeah, totally get it. Back to BMWs. Troy Sanders. With the E30 M3s reaching stratospheric values, it's curious to see the rest of the M cars of the era not follow suit. The E24 M6 and E28 M5 have seen bumps in values, but nothing compared to the inline 4 counterpart. Any thoughts to this?
Racing. You can predict. The biggest factor in predicting a collector car's collectability is a great racing record.
Yeah.
And let me say for the record, the E30 M3 fucking sucks to drive unless you're on
I'd
track.
rather have a 325 IS
I
any
would
day.
pay 4 times as much for a 325i over an E30. They suck.
Yeah.
But it is the winningest touring car of all time. And by the way, they're amazing on track, but they just suck to drive on the road.
They're fun if you're up on Angeles Crest or something too. They're fun if the speed is over 50 miles an hour. They are lovely.
Well, if you're at the limit, and. But the reality is, a 325i is fun
325 IS
all the time.
is better.
It's
And actually, I like the E28 M5 a lot.
They're wonderful.
It still feels small by today's standards, and it's
yeah.
got actual horsepower and torque.
Yep. It's a shame that market prices don't often reflect how these cars drive, and that's a perfect example. I would
I
rather
always thought
drive
the
an E20.
E24 M6. I thought the maintenance costs on those are like frightening.
There are some motors that had like head cracking issues or head gasket issues. I don't remember what they were, but whatever.
They're pretty fucking cool. I like the E24 M6 a lot. That's a lovely car.
Not for me, but but an E28 M5 is the same thing.
I haven't bought one, but I get it. It's just I just like it.
Sure.
Yeah. Chad Flippo. I've seen dealer markups on the new 86 and BRZ reaching close to $50,000. Dealer markup seems to be a growing problem. Is this something you think will be the new norm, or will manufacturers step in?
They'll adjust. We are in a, whether we'd like to realize it or not, a period of significant inflation, and markup just means that the car companies have not yet priced that inflation into the MSRP, but dealers are.
Yeah.
There it is.
And also, just because of a whole variety of reasons, the supply is limited right now.
Yep.
And so, because of how dealers work, they're going to get what they can get.
Right.
If someone doesn't pay the markup, then the markups will get whittled back down.
Absolutely. Supply and demand.
Dan B., what do you guys think is the future of automotive journalism with podcasts, YouTube, and blogs seemingly taking over from the magazines? What's next? I mean, TikTok probably, which bums me out because I don't want to do TikTok.
Yeah.
There's the intercooler's trying this thing with an app. Mm-hmm. I haven't inquired to see how well it's working, but they've made it this far.
I'm not hopeful. I mean, for example, Z06 is not going to journalists; it's going to influencers, as per people I'm hearing at GM, and that's not. There's a story about that engine and development and whatever on the engineering front that I would really like to tell. And what's happening instead is them saying, well, we can pay an influencer to give a good review. So we don't want to take the chance that a journalist is going to give the car a mediocre review. I mean, there's no chance I'm going to slam the car. That's not even a remote possibility because I know what the C8 is and it's good.
Yeah.
But it's a really big shame that you have the car companies realizing that they can take... So there's PR, which gives us cars. And then there's marketing, which spends money. And they can take the cars away from PR and give it to marketing and use marketing dollars to get what the audience doesn't realize isn't a review and is a paid influencer. And that is a fucking big problem for me.
I agree. I mean, I've seen that happening more and more as you start to see just pure influencers on press launches, press programs, especially as the press programs become more like regional.
So there's a journalist who we both know, and she was in a Toyota launch, and I don't want to out her in case she doesn't want this public, but she was on a launch of like a Toyota Venza or something, something sort of crossover, Highlander maybe it was, and she was talking to the other journalist who was in the car, and the other journalist asked her how much she was being paid for the review, and she was like, what are you talking about? She's like, well, I made X amount of dollars, whatever it was, blah 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 blah. She ABS to a stop, got out of the car, told the other bitch to drive away, and called Toyota and said, come and get me and take me right to the fucking airport.
Really?
And fuck you.
Oh, wow.
And after hours, I'll tell you who that was.
You definitely don't blow up that person's spot.
Unbelievable
move. If
move.
You're listening, please come on the show. If you got out of a car mid-drive because of that, you are welcome on my podcast.
Come and get me and bring me to the fucking airport.
And that sucks for people like us because there's people on Twitter or whatever that accuse us of being paid, and we get really insulted by that proposition because we know we could be, but we go to lengths not to be. But people are, and so it's not like we can say that the being paid thing is a myth. Like it's not a myth; it happens.
Yeah, but those are not journalists.
They're not.
Right.
But it's
it's up to the problem is it's up to the audience to sniff out who's being paid and who's not, and that's really difficult to do.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people who are being paid are really good at hiding the fact that they're being paid.
Yeah.
Sucks.
One word answer. What's your favorite Icons episode? Kevin Daigle. Kevin Daigle is my YouTube statistician. He rules. He drives a fucking 1,000 horsepower IROC.
Holy shit.
He rules.
Automatic cred.
You analyze my data and you drive a fucking 1,000 horsepower
He should have
IROC.
the data on the fact that that's a pile of shit that doesn't need over 1,000 horsepower.
It works.
And does it anyway, which is why
he drove it
awesome.
to my shop in the rain last week. He was a G.
Oh my God. I hope he pulled like 6 of the spark plug leads. Favorite episode of Icons will definitely be Toyota Supra.
Okay. Have you ever had a joke vetoed by editors?
No. 3/4 of what I say gets vetoed. And if it's not an editor in writing, it's Anthony when we're on set. He's like, you can't fucking say that.
Yeah. I've had kill fees paid to have whole stories scrapped.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I just had an incident where I blew up the planet Earth, and someone from my employer insisted we pull that out.
Oh, like literally where you blew?
Yeah, it was a joke.
Like in Don't Look Up? You had a visual joke?
A visual. It was a quick visual. I'm like, my point was, this was in Blackwing episode, which you'll notice there's a glitch in there, right? But my point was, there are 2 ways to proceed concerning the sensitivity regarding fuel economy and emissions. You can, number one, on the one hand, you can put start-stop on a car like this and pretend you're not a gas-guzzling pig.
Yeah.
Or you can make the engine the centerpiece of the car. You can revel in the conspicuous consumption, and you can have a goddamn goodbye party for planet Earth. Boom! And then it turns into a drift, and then my next line is, I want a party! Well, there was a lot of sensitivity regarding that statement, and I had to pull it out. So there's plenty of things that are vetoed.
Sure. I had a story killed where I did some investigative piece about that place in San Antonio.
I vaguely remember this.
Yeah, I sent it to you probably.
Yes.
Yeah, I sent it to all my friends, but the outlet did not want to publish it because they didn't want to get into a potential legal spat.
Yeah.
All I can say is there's a shop in San Antonio that's claiming to do manual swaps on all kinds of cars. Don't send them your car and don't send them any money. And their name is very similar to the place that sells BMWs in Ohio, and you should send them your money.
Car. Yeah, absolutely.
Or your
EAG.
car. Yeah. That's where I got my car from.
Did you really?
My M3 I just got from EAG. And it was
What's gonna
amazing in the listing. Amazing. And when it showed up, it was even fucking better than it was presented in the listing.
I always hear that.
The car showed up and I was like, I'm sorry, is this actually better than it looked in the fucking listing? After Eric died, you mean? His brother Evan is running the place.
Oh,
and
good.
Evan is a very sweet guy, and I cannot say nicer things about the sales and delivery process of my car.
That makes me happy because to hear about Eric was horrifying.
Awful.
And then, then it's like, then it becomes, after that whole shock wears off over months.
Yeah.
What happens to EAG? Because
business is going. Business is going. I mean, it's sad, but the business continues.
Okay.
Let's see. With the increase, Kyle says, with the increases in prices in the E30 market, does the 325i or IS driving experience hold up at the 20K plus many of them are being sold for? Is a single owner 325 with 190,000 miles and 9 years of maintenance actually worth $22,000?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
I think so.
100%. It holds up at $50,000.
We do a thing at we do like sort of like drop shipping, like one-stop shopping for the auction sites at Westside. And we're selling right now. It's about to go up. Probably by the time this shows up, it'll be up and collecting cars. We don't decide the customer decides what platform they want to sell it on, but we work with all of them, and sort of a flat fee kind of prep and present thing. But we're about to present a 187,000 mile E28 M5 in very nice, let's call it driver plus condition for $35,000 as a reserve.
I don't think,
and that's probably worth it.
Find a better experience than that for $35,000.
Yeah.
And on the E30 front, find an overall better experience than you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it.
Let's see. Alan Johnson, do we think an all EV future is imminent?
Yep.
Or does it seem like a blend will be more likely, where we can still enjoy our vintage cars on the weekend, or will internal combustion be outlawed entirely? I don't think it would be American to outlaw.
No, but it's going to happen.
I don't think it's right. I mean, even if they outlaw new car internal combustion sales, I don't think they're ever going to, not during our lifetimes will they say these existing cars can't be driven on the road anymore.
I disagree, unfortunately. I think you're right, but I disagree. That I can see in 20 years the city of San Francisco, which is a sort of walled-off city with water on three sides, saying as of right now or as of next year, no internal combustion engine, self-driven or human-driven cars are allowed in the city of San Francisco. And that's already happening in Europe. Like, Germany for years now has had environment zones.
Well, in Amsterdam, I was in Amsterdam in 2019, and in the center, not the whole city, but the center, you're not allowed to drive internal combustion engines during certain hours.
Yep. So it's already starting.
And
I mean, this is how it starts.
I hate to say it, it was fucking delightful.
I know.
It was delightful.
I
So
know.
I wouldn't personally mind if our densest urban environments,
This is what's going to happen. At the end of the day, everyone's typical transportation needs are going to go electric, whether we like it or not, because that's what the governments have decided, period. Like it or not, that's what's happening. What it's important for us to do, and what Hagerty's mission is, and I'm not going to sort of plug my employer because that's a shitty thing to do, but Hagerty's mission is to save driving. And I think what that means is McKeel made enough on car insurance. And the company's actual statement, and I mean this, internally, externally, is to save driving. And the point there is we need to somebody, and I think it's going to be Hagerty, to create critical mass of people to bind together to push back against the governments to make sure that we can still drive our cars.
Well,
So
Alex Roy has
#NeverStopDriving.
the Human Driving Association,
Right.
which is nothing right now besides a slogan and a cool brand
Right.
name. And I mean, I don't know how far he's gotten on it, but his long-term plan was literally to lobby Congress for the rights of human drivers.
That's exactly what. So McKeel started years ago. They had the first car ever added to the National Historic Register, for example.
Right, yeah.
But if you look at Hagerty's buying everybody, like all the car shows, Motorsport Reg. I mean, you start looking. It gets a little scary until you realize the goal here is to have his he gave a speech a couple years ago, and initially I thought he was out of his fucking mind. Honestly, when I was listening to it, I was like, what is he talking about? And then I realized he makes a lot of sense. I had never thought about it in this way. Until you have 2 million people, you don't have a movement. And somebody has to organize that movement. And to make governments aware and our politicians aware that it is really important that I get to start up my Scirocco and do burnouts in it. And it's really important to not just me as one moron, but to a large portion of the people in this country. So the goal there is we can have an electric future, absolutely. And I think we've determined from a science point of view, we need to do that. That's a different discussion. But if that's going to happen, then we need to carve out the ability to continue to drive the cars that really put a smile on our face. And I think we will, but it's going to take some concerted effort. And I'm thankful that Hagerty's doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of that. I hope they don't open one of their garages right in my backyard.
No, because it competes with you?
Yes. And I pay them a lot. They're my insurer, not just for my cars, for my business. They insure my garage. So, McKeel, if you're out there, please don't step on your own customers. Just give me fucking West LA. That's all I want. Just give me West LA.
Here's the one problem, and I'm definitely not going to offend. I've never been one to defend my employer, right? I've been a Hagerty customer for 15 years. The problem with Hagerty is like they fucking bought everyone and they're doing everything. So how do you not step on your customers when you own every concours and every car show and every rally? And I mean, I literally can't go to a Cars and Coffee or a rally and just show up and not see a Hagerty logo. It's like, oh, well, they're giving roadside assistance to these guys, and we're fucking everywhere. And that's the only thing I would say to you is, chances are,
if that happens, then then give me a premium for my shop, and buy me out.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
All I want is a discount on my own fucking insurance, and I can't get that as a goddamn employee.
Yeah. Oh. I'll tell you where you get a discount. You're not gonna like it.
What?
You got to have over a certain number of dollars valued insured.
I got a discount.
You get the multi-vehicle discount?
Oh God, yeah. When you go to over 5, so when you hit 6 insured, it was a big.
Okay.
The 6th car that I added was the Ferrari, and it actually dropped my premium by $40.
Oh yeah. My when I added the Delica, by far the cheapest car I own. When I added that, my insurance premium was negative $85 a year.
I love that I added a Ferrari and saved $40.
Yeah.
But I mean, the formulation is really. I can't drive 6 old cars at the same time.
Of course, you have one ass.
Right.
One ass.
Barely even that.
What are you gonna do?
Flat.
Yeah, half an ass.
Half an ass. No ass at all.
Yeah. Oof, our shot, as it's gotten brighter, our shot has gotten a little blown out here. I have to have Zach do some color correcting on this.
I don't care.
That's
no one wants to see.
There were some other questions on the Patreon. They were a little repetitive, and we maybe should have had you get the spreadsheet out because a lot of them.
I have it. I did get it out.
Oh, you do? All right. Well, then so we'll do one. Can we request number 2022 because it's 2022?
2022.
2022.
It's on my phone, so it's a little slow.
End with one spreadsheet. There was a lot of people throwing out random numbers for the spreadsheet, but we're going to end with 2022 because I got to go drive another 150 miles and film an Audi S3 this afternoon. I'm not complaining. Just saying there's time in the day. Got to do it. Uh-oh. It's not the ID4, is it?
I'm afraid to scroll over to see it because I can't read it yet.
Because it's recent?
Car number 2022 is the 2017 Acura NSX.
Oh, okay.
310 miles I put on it.
Okay. Acura NSX.
Okay, this is.
This might be brutal.
I was not a fan of this car. I'm still not a fan of this car, and I think I got it right. And I think I'm, frankly, one of the only journalists who got it right in that I said it didn't fulfill its mission and it hasn't sold. And so let's remember that this is for me, okay?
Okay.
God, Acura's going to kill me. All right. 310 miles. This is a confusing car. Great proportions, but weird styling. Looks like a 2.2 CL from behind.
It kind of does, actually. Right? Yeah, it does.
I'm good at this shit.
Yeah, it kind of does.
Nice interior. I mean, I love that I agree with myself all these years later. Nice interior, great seats, visibility, etc. No volume control. Hey, look at that.
It had a swipe bar, didn't it? Yeah. That wasn't great.
The engine is no singer, as in vocalist. Too quiet or too loud.
Or as in singer.
No, there's that too.
Although singer's no singer.
But this is not capitalized, so I assume I meant singer, Porsche 911, by singer design, trademark, X, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Either too quiet or too loud, depending on the mode, and only sounds good on wide open throttle from outside. Ride is good, not amazing. but body control is perfection. Steering is...
I'm with you so far.
Okay, thank God I still agree with this.
Yeah,
I'm genuinely nervous about this.
Okay.
Unbelievable torque fill. You'd think it was NA. Okay, I agree with that. Understeers like a pig in Quiet Sport or Sport Plus, but it's very good in track. Unpredictable, though, changes from lap to lap and then varies greatly by speed. At high speed, after all, it's rear-wheel drive only. The front motors must be out of steam. Absolutely not confidence-inspiring, and I just don't trust it. Tons of glitches, engine, trans, touchscreen. This was a pre-pro car, by the way. And the fucking transmission ignores 90% of what I want.
The press launch? Oh, man, everyone had problems with those cars at launch.
If you got wheel spin, I think it was if you got wheel spin or ABS, it shut the car completely down. You had to turn it off and turn it back on.
Yeah, they did a lot of reprogramming, I think, after this launch. Yeah, continue.
Blah, blah, blah. Fucking transmission ignores 90% of what I want. No temporary override is just dumb. I paid $160,000 and I want to be in charge, damn it. Okay, so that was when you're in automatic mode, you couldn't force it to do a gear shift. You have to be in full manual or full auto. You couldn't say you couldn't get like a 5-second override where you, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. Great rear trunk, but it gets toasty back there. I don't like that you can't see.
The trunk got hot, didn't it?
Like melted all the shit.
The trunk got hot and it smelled weird. It smelled like plastic in the trunk.
Oh, it was probably melting.
It was probably melting itself.
Great rear trunk. I don't like that you can't see much of the engine, though what you do see is gorgeous. God, I'm being nice about this.
The intake plenum is good looking.
Yep.
Yep.
Torque fill is great, and that's the right way to do a turbo car, but here we go. A 3,800-pound video game, question mark? That's not the right way to do an NSX. Sad to say, I'm really disappointed. It's no GTR in handling, it's no Corvette in fun, it's no 911 in precision, and it's no R8 in looks. And it's just got plain nothing on a Ferrari except for lag control. And it's ugly, so what's the point?
I mean, that's not unreasonable, especially considering it was the 2017 press launch. Did you ever drive another one? Like a 19?
We drove one, Johnny and I did a head-to-head on one a year later, and it was definitely better.
Yeah.
But the problem with this car, the reason Acura was really upset with me, because I gave it a pretty lukewarm review. My point was, that car was mostly done. First of all, that car was a complete fight between Japan and Ohio. Right?
Yeah.
They were killing each other, and that was obvious. From talking to engineers, product planners, everyone was pissed off about everything. And the fact that they started over and it was a front engine car, blah, 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 all this other bullshit, right? But the problem was that at the end of the day, the Ohio team was very proud of a lot of the compromises that they had baked in. They had a 488, I think it was a 488 or 458 Speciale that they took as one of the benchmark cars, and one of the engineers told this charming story where he had driven to church in the Ferrari, started it, and got a bunch of dirty looks. So it was very important to them that the engine be very quiet on startup.
That is a awful anecdote on which to base a whole car.
This is what I don't mean to offend people, but this is what happens when you design a Ferrari in Ohio. Yeah. People in Ohio who are going to church are not the target audience for that car. Yeah. It was the same thing with the Conti Sport 5P tires on it, right? It's nothing wrong with those tires. It was their choice to use it. They were the wrong tire for a hypercar, for a $200,000 supercar, and they chose it because of cold, so 35 to 50 degree Fahrenheit, deep water, cold weather performance. I'm very sorry, Acura people in Ohio. That is not a target that's necessary because the people who buy these cars have fucking Range Rovers.
Yeah.
And they, by the way, when they start the car, their Ferrari, in a church parking lot, they'll then throw a pot, I think I wrote this in my story, they'll throw a pot brownie at the fucking nun, they'll give the middle finger to the fucking priest, and they'll do donuts on their way out. So I think they misunderstood, by virtue of where they are geographically and philosophically and conceptually, societally, they misunderstood the point of a double middle finger fuck you hypercar, and therefore baked in a bunch of compromises that aren't what the target audience for that car wanted.
That's fair. That's fair.
And that's why I don't think anyone bought it.
I think that could be true. Totally. And I liked driving it. The 2019 one, I thought when you took it up the hill and went really, really fast, the programming of the front motors and stuff was really good. But accurate points. Accurate points.
Video game. People don't want a video game. They want drama.
Sure.
And that car was purposefully
The Lotus
engineered
Evora
without-
GT is a better second-gen NSX.
That fucking exhaust sound.
That car rules.
How does a Camry sound like this?
I know.
Oh my god.
That car fucking rules. And actually, you probably haven't, but you ever drive the TRD Camry?
No.
It's not great, but the TRD exhaust makes it. You go, oh, that's how the Lotus sound. It sounds kind of like the Lotus, actually. Yeah.
I mean, it is the same motor.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. 2022, one from the spreadsheet. And we didn't need to spend the whole time reviewing your reviews, but I thought that was an excellent show.
That was
Excellent
good.
show.
As always, it's fun.
As always.
Come visit more. Do more COVID tests. Stay away from me.
Well, I'm coming back. I'm coming back when we actually, the reason I'm up here is because we're doing this road and track. Route to Vine is the thing. It's like road and track experiences. So it's good roads, little track time at Sonoma, some autocrossing and wine tasting, in that order. And they're bringing out some pro drivers. They're bringing out some car celebrities. And I'm basically up here because I'm making the route.
So, all right, hold on. Car celebrity, where's my fucking invite? I want free track time, and I want to go hang out with a bunch of car people. So,
I mean,
fuck all of
talk
you.
to fucking road and track. Talk to.
Am I allowed to call my ex-employers?
Yeah,
No,
sure
I'm
you
kidding.
can.
I'll just crash it. No, just tell me where you are. Just find my friends on, and I'll just crash it.
Locations on.
What is he doing here? I live here.
Yesterday, I did some really beautiful roads. I went up to Berryessa Lake. You ever been up there?
Okay, yeah.
Nice road.
Beautiful
road. I did some mountains. We did some vineyard roads. I did a bunch of good stuff. And then today, it's the peninsula. So you're oh well. We're at your house. You can't see anything. You can't see where we are, but you're like not even a mile off the route, so it doesn't even mess up my my odometer that much.
There's a reason I live here.
Yeah, it's good.
There's a road down the street that is one of the best. I mean, it's literally, you could probably see it in the background, one of the best driving roads I've ever been on in my life ever, and it's 500 feet from my driveway.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really like driving around this area, and I'll have a full review of the Audi S3 that I'm driving soon. In general, I've really enjoyed it. It's been a really nice little car.
It's a Golf. I'm a big fan.
It's a Golf with good Audi seats. I mean, that's pretty much...
And a Lambo-looking ugly interior.
Yeah, the design of the interior isn't, like, my favorite, but it has physical buttons for a bunch of things, which is very good.
Let me ask you a serious question. Does it have a button that when you press the button,
Windows
opens windows?
Yes.
And does it have a latch that when you open the door, it opens the fucking door?
Climate control buttons.
Get
it has
out.
the drawer. It has a mirror adjuster.
Just stop it right there.
It even has a button for the trunk.
GTFO.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable the things that have buttons.
I can't even.
All right, follow Jason at Jason Camisa on Instagram, Cammisa. And of course, your series Icons on Hagerty is airing now.
Icons is six a year. Revelations we did 17 of them last year.
A lot of Revelations.
There was Revelations, untold stories of automotive legends. It's cool. That's a lot of fun.
You'll see my show modified on Hagerty probably never again.
Don't ask me.
I did not get picked up for a second season.
I am a self-contained little bubble out here, and I pay attention to nothing.
Hagerty's audience doesn't get me. People were literally commenting on my videos like, "Who the fuck is this guy? And who put him on camera?"
Look at him.
Literally.
He's like, "Do you know who I am?"
I'm kind of.
No, look, the interesting thing about the Hagerty's audience was it was very. I gotta give credit. The guys in Traverse City in that video team, they did these Redline Rebuild series and Barn Find Hunter. They have developed a fucking enormous, fervent audience that absolutely loves them and has no crossover at all to what you or I do.
Very funny.
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
And so I sort
I
of
made my show with Tangent Vector, not with like those guys.
Right. I mean, we're all sort of independent
Yeah.
teams. There's Tangent. There's my team out here, and we don't. like there's no overlap, but the audience also has no overlap, which I find so interesting.
It's really weird.
It's also an opportunity for us to all talk to each other and be like, hey, by the way, like I did a Mach-E. I did icons on the Mach-E. The worst performing video, single worst performing video I have ever done in my life, ever.
That's
and
hilarious.
I know that video was a million viewer. I know it was good. It was funny.
If it was on another channel, it would have been a million viewer.
Tormented Jason Castriota. I was literally on the phone with him while he was talking about the bag of tricks they use to disguise the fact that the car is all wrong proportionally, and he made it look amazing. So I'm making fun of him by putting
that black
tape on it.
roof thing works
Fucking
really, really
genius.
well. Yeah.
That alone was worth 100,000 views. The video's sitting at like 186,000 views because the first comments were like, "Fuck this EV, fuck this asshole from the coast, fuck this," and I was like, "What? Hold on, watch the video." I had a Mustang GT Performance PP2 there. Like it's all good. But I started the video by saying whether you like it or not, your horsepower is being taken away from you and you're giving electrons in. Oh, the audience didn't like that.
On my show, the worst performing episode I made was AI Design in New York did a Willys Jeep that was an EV that I beat the balls off on a snowy rally stage.
That was awesome to watch.
It was fun. I was freezing. I was drifting.
Death wish.
I'm wearing like a fucking like a Morgan bomber jacket, and I'm like crammed into this thing, so uncomfortable, and I'm drifting the fuck out of it on a wet, snowy rally stage.
Awesome.
With no anything around me. I was almost died like 3 times.
Yeah.
8 people watched it, and they were all like, "Fuck this guy, fuck these electric things."
Yeah, look, whatever.
It be what it be, man.
7 of them probably were like, "Oh, I'll go subscribe to this guy, and
maybe
Smoking Tire." And
whatever. Yeah. The only one of my episodes that really did well was which was actually my idea. Carb legal engine swaps.
Yes,
that one did really well.
It did well. When I remember seeing the title, I'm thinking, we're so California centric, no one else is going to watch it. It did really well.
Yeah, it did do well.
Me on that one.
It did do well. All right, that's our show. Go watch All Cars Go to Heaven on my YouTube channel, please. And if you're interested in doing this Road and Track Route to Vine thing that I'm scouting for and leading, it's in March. It's like the 22nd to 25th. And just go to roadandtrack.com/experiences to sign up. I think there's 15 cars signed up right now. It should be a lot of fun. Wow, the sun's coming out, and we're gonna fade to white. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
That's our show.